The Book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 1. These are the words which Moses spoke to all of Israel on this side Jordan, in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tophel, and Laban, and Hazeroth, and Azihab, 11 days from Horeb by the way of Mount Seir unto Kadesh Barnea. And in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first of the month, Moses spoke to the children of Israel according to all that the Lord had given him commandment to them, after he had killed Sihon the king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, and Og the king of Bashan, who lived at Ashtaroth in Edrei, and on this side of Jordan in the land of Moab. And Moses began to declare this law. He said, The Lord our God spoke to us in Horeb, saying, Ye have lived long enough in this mountain. Turn and take your journey now, and go into the mountains of the Amorites, and to all his neighbors in the plain, in the hills, and in the valleys, and in the south, and by the seaside, to the land of the Canaanites, and to Lebanon, unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land, which the Lord swore to your fathers Abraham, and Isaac, and Jacob, to give to them and to their seed after them. And I spoke to you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you all by myself. The Lord your God has multiplied you, and behold, you are this day like the stars of heaven for multitude. May the Lord God of your fathers make you 1,000 times as many as you are, and bless you as he has promised you. How can I all by myself bear your pressure, and bear your burdens and your strifes? Take wise and understanding men, men known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. And you answered me and said, The thing which you have spoken is good. And so I took the chief of your tribes, wise and noted men, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, captains over hundreds, captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes. And I commanded your judges at that time, saying, Hear the causes between your brothers, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger with him. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it to me, and I will hear it. And I commanded you at that time all things which you should do. And when we departed from Horeb, we went through all that great and terrible wilderness which you saw by the way of the mountain of the Amorites, as the Lord our God commanded us. And we came to Kadesh Barnea, and I said to you, You have come to the mountain of the Amorites, which the Lord our God has given unto us. Behold, the Lord your God has set the land before you. Go up and possess it, even as the Lord God of your fathers has said to do. Do not fear, neither be troubled. And you came near to me, every one of you, and said, We will send men before us, and they shall search out the land, and bring us word again by which way we must go up, and into what cities we shall come. And this saying pleased me very much, and I took 12 men of you, one of each tribe. And they turned and went up into the mountain, and came to the valley of Eshcol, and searched it out. And they took of the fruit of the land in their hands, and brought it down to us, and brought us word again, and said, It is a good land which the Lord our God gives us. But you would not go up, but rebelled against the commandment of the Lord your God. And you murmured in your tents, and said, Because the Lord hates us, he has brought us forth out of the land of Egypt, to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites, to destroy us. Where shall we go up? Our brothers have broken our hearts, saying, The people are greater and taller than we are. The cities are great and walled up to heaven. And moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakims there. And then I said to you, Do not dread them, nor be afraid of them. The Lord your God, who goes before you, shall fight for you, according to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes, and in the wilderness, where you have seen how the Lord your God carried you, as a man carries his son. in all the way that you went until you came into this place. Yet in this thing you did not believe the Lord your God, who went in the way before you to search you out a place to pitch your tent, in fire by night, to show you by what way you should go, in a cloud by day. And the Lord heard the voice of your words, and was angry, and swore, saying, Surely there shall not one of these men of this evil generation see that good land, which I swore to give to your fathers, except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. He shall see it, and to him I will give the land that he has trodden upon, and to his children, because he has fully followed the Lord. Also the Lord was angry with me for your sake, saying, You also shall not go in there. But Joshua the son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall go in there. Make him strong, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, your little ones, who you said would be a prey, and your children, who in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go in there. And I will give it to them, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn and take your journey into the wilderness, by the way of the Red Sea. And then you answered and said to me, We have sinned against the Lord. We will go up and fight according to all that the Lord our God commanded us. And when each one of you had buckled on his weapons of war, you were ready to go up into the hill. But the Lord said to me, Say to them, Do not go up, neither fight, for I am not among you, lest you be beaten by your enemies. So I spoke to you, and you would not hear, but rebelled against the commandment of the Lord, and went presumptuously into the hill. And the Amorites who lived in that mountain came out against you, and chased you even as bees do, and destroyed you in Seir, even to Hormah. And you returned and wept before the Lord. But the Lord would not listen to your voice, nor give ear to you. And so you stayed in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you stayed there. Deuteronomy chapter 2. Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spoke to me, and we went around Mount Seir many days. And the Lord spoke to me, saying, You have gone around this mountain long enough. Turn northward now, and command the people, saying, You are to pass through the border of your brothers, the children of Esau, who dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid of you. Therefore be careful, do not meddle with them, for I will not give you of their land, no, not so much as a foot breadth, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau for a possession. You shall buy food from them for money, so that you may eat, and ye shall also buy water from them for money, so that you may drink. For the Lord your God has blessed you in all the works of your hand. He knows you're walking through this great wilderness. The Lord your God has been with you these 40 years, and you have lacked nothing. And when we left our brothers and the children of Esau who lived in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elath, and from Ezion-Geber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And the Lord said to me, Do not trouble the Moabites, neither fight with them in battle, for I will not give you any of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar to the children of Lot for a possession. The Emims lived there in times past, a great people who were many and tall, like the Anakims. They also were known as giants, like the Anakims, but the Moabites called them Emims. The Horims also lived in Seir in times past, but the children of Esau took their place when they had destroyed them from before them, and lived in their place, even as Israel did unto the land of his possession, which the Lord gave unto him. And now I said, Rise up and get over the valley Zered. And we went over the valley Zered, and the time in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we had come over the valley of Zered was 38 years, until all the generations of the men of war had died out from amongst the host, even as the Lord swore unto them. For indeed the hand of the Lord was gathered against them, to destroy them from amongst the host, until they were gone. And when all the men of war were gone from amongst the people, and were dead, the Lord spoke to me, saying, Today You are to pass over through Ar, the coast of Moab. And when you come near across from the children of Ammon, do not trouble them, nor meddle with them, for I will not give you any possessions from the land of the children of Ammon, because I have given it to the children of Lot for a possession. That also was known to be a land of giants. Giants lived there in past times, and the Amorites called them Zamzummims, a people great and many, and tall like the Anakims. But the Lord destroyed them before them, and they took their place and lived in their place, as he did to the children of Esau who lived in Seir, when he destroyed the Horims from before them. And they took their place and lived in their place even to this day. And to the Caphtorims, who came forth out of Caphtor, destroyed the Avims, who lived in Hazerom, unto Azah, and lived in their place. Rise up and take your journey, and pass over the river Arnon. Behold, I will give into your hand Sihon, the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it, and fight with him in battle. Today I will begin to put your dread and your fear upon the nations that are under the whole heaven, who shall hear report of you, and shall tremble, and be in anguish because of you. And I sent messengers out of the wilderness of Kedomoth to Sihon king of Heshbon, with words of peace, saying, Let me pass through your land. I will go along by the highway. I will neither turn to the right or to the left. You shall sell me food for money, so that I may eat, and give me water for money, so that I may drink. Only I will pass through on my feet, as the children of Esau who live in Seir, and the Moabites who live in Ar did to me, until I shall pass over Jordan into the land which the Lord our God gives us. But Sihon king of Heshbon would not let us pass by him, for the Lord your God had hardened his spirit, and made his heart stubborn, so that he might deliver them into your hands, as it is this day. As the Lord said to me, Behold, I have begun to give Sihon and his land before you. Begin to possess it, so that you may inherit his land. Then Sihon came out against us, he and all his people, to fight at Jahaz. And the Lord our God delivered him before us, and we struck him, and his sons and all his people. And we took all his cities at that time, and completely destroyed the men and the women, and the little ones of every city. We left none to remain. Only we took the cattle as a spoil for ourselves, and the spoil of the cities which we took. From Aroer, which is by the brink of the river Arnon, and from the city that is by the river, even unto Gilead, there was not one city too strong for us. The Lord our God delivered all to us. Only to the land of the children of Ammon you did not come, nor unto any place of the river Jabbok, nor to the cities in the mountains, nor to whatever the Lord our God denied us. Deuteronomy chapter 3. Then we turned and went up by the way to Bashan, and Og the king of Bashan came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. And the Lord said to me, Do not fear him, for I will deliver him and all his people and his land into your hand. And you shall do to him as you did to Sihon king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon. And so the Lord our God delivered Og into our hands also, the king of Bashan, and all his people. And we struck him until none was left remaining to him. And we took all his cities at that time, and there was not a city which we did not take from them, 60 cities, all the regions of Argob, the king of Og in Bashan. All these cities were fenced with high walls and gates and bars, and besides a good many unwalled towns, and we completely destroyed them, as we did to Sihon king of Heshbon, completely destroying the men, the women, and the children of every city. But we took the cattle and the spoil of the cities as a prize for ourselves. And we took at that time out of the hand of the 2 of the kings of the Amorites the land that was on this side of Jordan, from the river to Arnon unto Mount Hermon, the Hermon which the Sidonians called Sirion, and the Amorites call it Shinir. All the cities of the plain, and all of Gilead, and all of Bashan, and all of Salcah, Edrei, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan, all these were taken. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the rest of the giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length of it, and 4 cubits the width of it, according to the cubit of a man. In this land which we possessed at that time from Aroer, which is by the river Arnon, and half of Mount Gilead, and the cities of it I gave to the men of Reuben and of Gad. And the rest of Gilead and all of Bashan, the kingdom of Og, I gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh. All the region of Argob, with all of Bashan, which was called the land of the giants. Jair the son of Manasseh took all the country of Argob, unto the coast of Geshuri, and Maacathai, and we called them after his own name, Bashan Havoth Yair, unto this day. And I gave Gilead unto Machir, and to the Reubenites and to the Gadites I gave from Gilead even to the river Arnon, half the valley and the border, even to the river Jabbok, the border of the children of Ammon, and the plain also, and Jordan, and the border of it from Shinnereth, even to the sea of the plain, the salt sea, under Ashdoth Pisgah, eastward. And I commanded you at that time, saying, The Lord your God has given you this land to possess it. You shall pass over armed before your brothers, the children of Israel, all that are able to be ready for the war, but your wives and little ones and your cattle. I know that you have much cattle. All these shall stay in your cities which I have given you, until the Lord has given rest to your brothers, as well as to you, until also they possess the land which the Lord your God has given them beyond Jordan. And then ye shall each one return to his possessions, which I have given you. And I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, Your eyes have seen all that the Lord your God has done to these 2 kings. So the Lord shall do to all the kingdoms where you pass. You shall not fear them. For the Lord your God shall fight for you. And I begged the Lord at that time, saying, O Lord God, thou hast begun to show thy servant thy greatness, and thy mighty hand. For what God is there in heaven or in earth, who can do according to thy works, and according to thy might? I pray thee, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond Jordan, that goodly mountain, and Lebanon. But the Lord was angry with me because of you, and would not hear me. And the Lord said to me, Let it be enough for you. Speak no more to me of this matter. Get up into the top of Pisgah, and lift up your eyes westward and northward, and southward and eastward, and behold it with your eyes. For you shall not go over this Jordan, but charge Joshua, and encourage him, and strengthen him. For he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which he shall see. And so we stayed in the valley over against Beth Peor. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Now therefore listen, O Israel, to the statutes and to the judgments which I teach you, in order to do them, so that you may live and go in and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers gives you. You shall not add to the word which I command you, neither shall you take away from it, so that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God which I command you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did because of Baal Peor. For the Lord your God has destroyed from among you all the men that followed Baal Peor. And you did hold fast to the Lord. You are still alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you should do so in the land where you go to possess it. Therefore keep and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes, and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is so great, who has God so near them, as the Lord our God is in all things for which we call upon him. And what nation is so great that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Only take heed to yourself, and keep your soul carefully, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But teach them to your sons and your sons' sons. Remember the day that you stood before the Lord your God in Horeb, when the Lord said to me, Gather the people together unto me, and I will make them hear my words, so that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and so that they may teach their children. And you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire into the midst of heaven, with darkness and clouds and thick darkness. And the Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire, and you heard the voice of the words, but saw no likeness, only you heard a voice. And he declared to you his covenant which he commanded you to perform, 10 commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tables of stone. And the Lord commanded me that time to teach you statutes and judgments, so that you might do them in the land where you go over to possess it. Therefore take good heed to yourselves, for you saw no kind of likeness on the day the Lord spoke to you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you corrupt yourselves and make yourselves a graven image, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water beneath the earth. And lest you lift up your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the host of heaven, lest you should be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord your God has divided to all nations under the whole heavens. But the Lord has taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be to him a people of inheritance, as you are this day. Furthermore, the Lord was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go into that good land which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over Jordan. But you shall go over and possess that good land. Take heed to yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make you a graven image, the likeness of anything which the Lord your God has forbidden you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. When ye shall father children and children's children, and when ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves by making a graven image, or a likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord your God, to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that you shall soon utterly perish from off the land which you are passing over Jordan to possess. You shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you amongst the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the nations where the Lord shall drive you. And there you shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But if ye shall seek the Lord your God from there, you shall find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. When you are in trouble, and when all these things have found you in the latter days, if you return to the Lord your God, and shall be obedient unto his voice, for the Lord your God is a merciful God, he will not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you since the day that God created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of heaven to the other, where there has been any such thing as this great thing is, or has been heard like it. Did people ever hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard, and live? Or has any God tried to go and take a nation for himself from the midst of another nation? By trials, by signs, by wonders, by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? It was shown unto you that you might know that the Lord is God, and no one else beside him. He made you hear his voice out of heaven, so that he might teach you. And he showed you his great fire upon earth, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, in order to drive out from among you nations greater and mightier than you, to bring you in, to give you their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. Therefore know this day, and consider it within your heart, that the Lord is God in heaven above, and on the earth beneath there is no other. Therefore ye shall keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command you this day, so that it may go well with you, and with your children after you, and so that you may make your days longer upon the earth, which the Lord your God gives you forever. Then Moses separated 3 cities on this side of Jordan toward the sunrise, so that the slayer might flee there, he who would kill his neighbor through error, or who did not hate him in times past, and that fleeing to one of these cities he might live. And they were Bezer, in the wilderness, in the plain country of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead of the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan of the Manassites. And this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Moses spoke to the children of Israel after they came forth out of Egypt, on this side of Jordan, in the valley over against Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel killed after they had come forth out of Egypt. And they possessed his land and the land of Og king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, who were on this side of Jordan toward the sunrise, from Aurora, which is by the bank of the river Arnon, even to Mount Sion, which is Hermon, and all the plain on this side of Jordan eastward, even to the sea of the plain under the springs of Pisgah. Chapter 5. Deuteronomy chapter 5. And Moses called all Israel, and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, so that you may learn them and keep them and do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day. The Lord talked with you face to face in the mountain out of the midst of the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time to show you the word of the Lord, for you were afraid because of the fire, and did not go up into the mountain, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow yourself down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of those who love me, and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not acquit him who takes his name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord your God has commanded you. 6 days ye shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger that is inside your gates, so that your manservant and maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that your days may be made longer, and that it may go well with you in the land which the Lord your God gives you. You shall not kill, neither shall you commit adultery, neither shall you steal, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor, neither shall you desire your neighbor's wife, neither shall you covet your neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. And the Lord spoke these words unto all your assembly in the mountain out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stone, and delivered them to me. And when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain burned with fire, you came near me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and you said, Behold, the Lord our God has showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God talks with man, and that he lives. Now therefore why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more, then we shall die. For who of all flesh has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have, and has lived? You go near and hear all that the Lord our God shall say, and you speak to us all that the Lord our God shall speak to you, and we will hear it and do it. And the Lord heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me, and the Lord said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto you. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me, and keep my commandments always, so that it might be well with them, and with their children forever. Go say to them, Go into your tents again. But as for you, you stand here by me, and I will speak unto you all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments, which you shall teach them, that they may do them in the land which I am giving them to possess it. Therefore you shall be careful to do as the Lord your God has commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. You shall walk in all the ways which the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live, and that it may be well with you, and so that you may make your days longer in the land which you shall possess. Deuteronomy chapter 6. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which the Lord our God commanded to teach you, so that you might do them in the land where you go to possess it, so that you might fear the Lord your God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments which I command you, you and your son and your son's sons, all the days of your life, and so that your days may be prolonged. Therefore hear, O Israel, and be careful to do it, so that it may be well with you, that you may greatly multiply, as the Lord God of our fathers has promised you, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall carefully teach them unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And when the Lord your God has brought you into the land which he swore unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give you great and goodly cities which you did not build, and houses full of all good things which you did not fill, and wells which are dug but which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. When you shall eat and be full, then beware lest you forget the Lord, who brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. You shall fear the Lord your God, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after other gods of the people who are round about you. For the Lord your God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord your God be kindled against you and destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt the Lord your God as you tempted him in Massah. You shall carefully keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies and his statutes, which he has commanded you. And you shall do what is right and good in the sight of the Lord, so that it may be well with you, and so that you may go in and possess the good land, which the Lord swore unto your fathers, to cast out all your enemies from before you, as the Lord has spoken. And when your son asks you in time to come, saying, What do the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which the Lord our God has commanded you mean? Then you shall say unto your son, We were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And the Lord showed signs and wonders, great and evil signs, upon Egypt, and upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from there, so that he might bring us in to give us the land which he swore unto our fathers. And the Lord commanded us all to do these statutes, to fear the Lord our God for our good always, so that he might preserve us alive, as it is in that day. And if we are careful to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he has commanded us, it shall be our righteousness. Deuteronomy chapter 7. We're reading from the Book of Deuteronomy chapter 7. And when the Lord your God shall bring you into the land where you go to possess it, and has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. When the Lord your God shall deliver them before you, you shall crush them and completely destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy to them. Neither shall you make marriages with them. You shall not give your daughter unto his son, nor shall you take his daughter unto your son. For they will turn away your son from following me, so that they may serve other gods. And so the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you, and will destroy you suddenly. But you shall deal with them in this way. You shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For you are a holy people unto the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people, but because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath that he had sworn unto your fathers. The Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt. Therefore know that the Lord your God, he is God and faithful, the faithful God who keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keeps his commandments to 1,000 generations. And he repays those who hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slow to repay him who hates him, he will repay him to his face. Therefore ye shall keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you this day to do them. Therefore, because you listen to these judgments, and keep and do them, the Lord your God shall keep unto you the covenant and the mercy which he swore unto your fathers. And he will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your land, and your grain, and your wine, and your oil, and the increase of your cattle, and the flocks of your sheep, and the land which he swore unto your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you, or among your cattle. And the Lord will take away from you all sickness, and will put none of these evil diseases of Egypt, which you know upon you, but he will lay them upon all who hate you. And you shall destroy all the people which the Lord your God shall deliver you. Your eye shall have no pity upon them, neither shall you serve their gods, for they will be a snare to you. If you shall say in your heart, These nations are more than I, how can I throw them out? You shall not be afraid of them, but shall well remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all of Egypt. Remember the great temptations which your eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and the mighty hand, and the stretched out arm by which the Lord your God brought you out. So shall the Lord your God do to all the people of whom you are afraid. Moreover, the Lord your God will send the hornet among them, until the ones who are left and those who hide themselves from you are destroyed. Ye shall not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God is among you, a mighty and terrible God. And the Lord your God will put out those nations before you by little and little. You will not destroy them at once, lest the beast of the field increase upon you. But the Lord your God shall deliver them to you, and shall destroy them with a mighty ruin until they are destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings into your hand, and you shall destroy their name from under heaven. No man shall be able to stand before you until you have destroyed them. You shall burn the graven images of their gods with fire. You shall not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it for yourself, so that you may not be snared in it. For it is an abomination to the Lord your God. Neither shall you bring an abomination into your house, lest you be a cursed thing like it. You shall utterly hate it, and you shall utterly despise it, for it is a cursed thing. Chapter 8. Deuteronomy chapter 8. All the commandments which I command you this day shall be to you, and you shall be careful to do, that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to your fathers. And ye shall remember all the way which the Lord your God led you these 40 years in the wilderness, in order to humble you, to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. And he humbled you and allowed you to hunger, and then he fed you with manna, which you did not know, neither did your fathers know it, so that he might make you know that man shall not live by bread alone, but man shall live by every word that comes out of the mouth of the Lord. And your clothing did not become old on you, neither did your foot swell these 40 years. You shall also consider in your heart that as a man chastens his son, so the Lord your God chastens you. Therefore ye shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For the Lord your God brings you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land in which you shall eat bread without lacking anything. You shall not lack anything in it. It is a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig brass. And when you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land which he has given you. Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes which I command you this day, lest when you have eaten and are full and have built goodly houses and lived in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart might be lifted up, and you might forget the Lord your God, who brought you forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of slavery. For he led you through the great and terrible wilderness, in which were fiery serpents and scorpions and thirsty wastes, where there was no water. It was he who brought you forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed you in the wilderness with manna which your fathers did not know, so that he might humble you, and so that he might prove you, to do you good in the end, and so that you might not say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand has gotten me this wealth. But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, so that he may confirm his covenant which he has sworn unto your fathers, as it is this day. And if you do at all forget the Lord your God, and walk after other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you this day that ye shall surely perish. As the nations whom the Lord destroyed before the face of the earth, so ye shall perish, because you would not listen to the voice of the Lord your God. Chapter 9. Deuteronomy chapter 9. Hear, O Israel, You are to pass over Jordan this day to go in to possess nations greater and mightier than you, cities great and fenced up to heaven, a people great and tall, the children of the Anakims, whom you know and of whom you have heard it said, who can stand before the children of Anak? Therefore understand this day that the Lord your God is he who goes over before you. Like a consuming fire he shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before your face. So ye shall drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord has said unto you. Do not speak in your heart after the Lord your God has cast them out from before you, saying, For my righteousness the Lord has brought me in to possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations the Lord your God drives them out from before you. Not for your righteousness, or for the uprightness of your heart, do you go to possess their land. But for the wickedness of these nations the Lord your God drives them out from before you, and so that he may perform the word which the Lord spoke to you, to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Therefore understand that the Lord your God does not give you this good land to possess it for your righteousness, for you are a stiff-necked people. Remember and do not forget how you provoked the Lord your God to wrath in the wilderness. From the day you departed out of the land of Egypt until you came to this place, you have been rebellious against the Lord. Also in Horeb you provoked the Lord to wrath, so that the Lord was angry with you to have destroyed you. When I had gone up into the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant which the Lord made with you, then I stayed in the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I did not either eat bread nor drink water. And the Lord delivered to me 2 tablets of stone written with the finger of God, and on them was written according to all the words which the Lord spoke with you in the mountain, out of the midst of the fire, in the day of the assembly. And at the end of 40 days and 40 nights the Lord gave me the 2 tables of stone, the tables of the covenant. And the Lord said to me, Arise, get down quickly from here, for your people whom you have brought forth out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten image. Furthermore the Lord spoke to me, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Let me alone, so that I may destroy them, and blot out their name from under heaven. And I will make of you a nation mightier and greater than they are. And so I turned and came down from the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire. And the 2 tables of the covenant were in my hands. And I looked, and behold, you had sinned against the Lord your God, and had made you a molten calf. You had turned aside quickly out of the way which the Lord had commanded you. And I took the 2 tablets, and threw them out of my hands, and broke them before your eyes. And I fell down before the Lord as at the first 40 days and 40 nights, neither ate bread nor drank water, because of all your sins which you sinned in doing wickedly in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and the fury with which the Lord was angry against you to destroy you. But the Lord listened to me at that time also. And the Lord was very angry with Aaron to have destroyed him. And I prayed for Aaron also the same time. And I took your sin, the calf which you had made, and burned it with fire, and stamped it, grinding it very small, until it was as small as dust. And I threw the dust of it into the brook that descended out of the mountain. And Taberah, and at Massa, and at Kibroth-hattaavah, you provoked the Lord to anger. Likewise, when the Lord sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and possess the land which I have given you, then you rebelled against the commandment of the Lord your God, and you did not believe him nor listen to his voice. You have been rebellious against the Lord from the day that I knew you. And so I fell down before the Lord 40 days and 40 nights, as I fell down at the first, because the Lord had said he would destroy you. I prayed therefore to the Lord, and said, O Lord God, do not destroy thy people and thine inheritance, which thou hast redeemed through thy greatness, which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember thy servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do not look to the stubbornness of this people, nor to their wickedness, nor to their sin, lest the land from where thou didst bring us out say, because the Lord was not able to bring them into the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to kill them in the wilderness. Yet they are thy people, and thy inheritance which thou didst bring out by thy mighty power, and by thy stretched out arm. Deuteronomy chapter 10. We are reading from the book of Deuteronomy. We continue reading now chapter 10. At that time the Lord said to me, Cut out 2 tablets of stone like the first, and come up unto me into the mountain, and make an ark of wood. And I will write on the tablets the words that were in the first tablets which you broke, and you shall put them in the ark. And I made an ark of acacia wood, and cut out 2 tablets of stone like the first, and went up into the mountain, having the 2 tablets in my hand. And he wrote on the tablets, according to the first writing, the 10 commandments, which the Lord spoke to you in the mountain, out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And the Lord gave them to me. And I turned myself and came down from the mountain, and put the tables in the ark, which I had made. And there they are, as the Lord commanded me. And the children of Israel took their journey from Beeroth of the children of Jaachan to Moserah. And there Aaron died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar his son served in the priest's office in his stead. From there they moved to Gudgodah, and from Gudgodah to Jotbath, a land of rivers, of waters. And at that time the Lord separated the tribe of Levi to carry the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord to minister unto him, and to bless in his name unto this day. Therefore Levi has no part nor inheritance with his brothers. The Lord is his inheritance, according as the Lord your God promised him. And I stayed in the mountain according to the first time 40 days and 40 nights. And the Lord listened to me at that time also. The Lord would not destroy you. And the Lord said to me, Arise and go before the people, causing them to go in and possess the land which I swore unto their fathers to give unto them. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God ask of you? But to fear the Lord your God, and to walk in all his ways, to love him, to serve the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes which I command you this day for your good. Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens belongs to the Lord your God, and the earth also with all that is in it. Only the Lord had a delight in your fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, you above all people, as it is this day. Therefore circumcise the foreskin of your heart, and be no longer stiff-necked. For the Lord your God is the God of gods, and the Lord of lords, a great God, a mighty and terrible God, who does not respect persons nor take bribes. He executes justice for the fatherless and widow, and loves the stranger in the giving him of food and clothing. Therefore love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt yourself. You shall fear the Lord your God. You shall serve him, and you shall hold fast to him, and swear by his name. He is your praise, and he is your God, who has done for you these great and terrible things which your eyes have seen. Your fathers went down into Egypt with 70 persons, and now the Lord your God has made you as the stars of heaven for multitude. Chapter 11, Deuteronomy chapter 11. Therefore you shall love the Lord your God, and keep his charge and his statutes and his judgments and his commandments always. And you know this day, for I do not speak with your children who have not known and who have not seen the chastisement of the Lord your God, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm, and his miracles and his acts which he did in the midst of Egypt, unto Pharaoh the king of Egypt, and to all his land. And you know what he did to the army of Egypt, to their horses and to their chariots, how he made the water of the Red Sea to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how the Lord has destroyed them unto this day. And you know what he did to you in the wilderness, until you came into this place, and what he did unto Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, and their household and their tents, and all the substance that was in their possession, in the midst of all of Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of the Lord, which he did. Therefore you shall keep all the commandments which I command you this day, so that you may be strong, and go in and possess the land where you go to possess it, and so that you may make your days longer in the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to give to them and to their seed, a land that flows with milk and honey. For the land into which you go to possess it is not as the land of Egypt, from which you came out, where you sowed your seed and watered it with your foot, like a garden of herbs. But the land which you are entering to possess is a land of hills and valleys, and drinking water from the rains of heaven. It is a land which the Lord your God cares for. The eyes of the Lord your God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even to the end of the year. And if you will listen carefully to my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, I will give you the rain of your land in its due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that you may gather in your grain and your wine and your oil. And I will send grass in your fields for your cattle, so that you may eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, that your heart may be not deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then the Lord's wrath may be kindled against you, and he may shut up the heavens, so that there will be no rain, and so that the land will not yield her fruit. And you will perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord gives you. Therefore you shall lay up these my words in your hearts and in your soul, and bind them to us for a sign upon your hand, so that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, so that your days and the days of your children may be multiplied in the land which the Lord swore to give to your fathers, like the days of the heavens upon the earth. For if you will carefully keep all these commandments which I command you, to do them, to love the Lord your God, and to walk in all his ways, and to hold fast unto him, then the Lord will drive out all these nations from before you, and you shall possess greater and mightier nations than yourself. Every place on which the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even to the furthest sea shall be your border. There shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he has said unto you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day, and a curse if you will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but will turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which you have not known. And when the Lord your God has brought you into the land where you are to possess it, you shall put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side of Jordan, by the way where the sun goes down, in the land of the Canaanites, who dwell in the plain over against Gilgal, beside the plains of Moreh? For you shall pass over Jordan to go to the land and possess it, and dwell in it, the land which the Lord your God gives you. And you shall possess it, and ye shall dwell in it, and ye shall be careful to do all the statutes and the judgments which I set before you this day. Deuteronomy chapter 12. These are the statutes and judgments which you shall be careful to do in the land which the Lord God of your fathers gives you to possess, all the days that you live upon the earth. You shall completely destroy all the places in which the nations which you shall possess served their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills, and under every green tree. And ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. And you shall cut down the carved images of their gods, and destroy their names out of that place. You shall not do so unto the Lord your God, but unto the place where the Lord your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his dwelling place ye shall seek, and there ye shall come. And there you shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows and your freewill offerings, and the firstborn of your herds and your flocks. And there you shall eat before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand to, you and your households in which the Lord your God has blessed you. You shall not do according to all the things that we do here this day, each man doing whatever is right in his own eyes. For you have not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which the Lord your God gives you. But when you go over Jordan and live in the land which the Lord your God gives you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies round about you, so that you may live in safety, then there shall be a place where the Lord your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. There you shall bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes and heave offerings of your hand, and all the choice vows which you vow unto the Lord. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you and your sons and your daughters, and your men servants and your maid servants, and the Levite that is within your gates, because he has no part nor inheritance with you. Take heed to yourself that you do not offer your burnt offering in every place that you see, but in the place which the Lord shall choose in one of your tribes, there ye shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you. However, you may kill and eat flesh in all your gates, whatever your soul desires, according to the blessing of the Lord your God, which he has given you. The unclean and the clean may eat of it, as of the gazelle and as of the hart. Only ye shall not eat the blood. Ye shall pour it upon the earth like water. You may not eat inside your gates the tithe of your grain, or of your wine, or of your oil, or the firstborn of your herds, or of your flocks, or any of your vows which you vow, or your freewill offerings, or the heave offerings of your hand. But you must eat them before the Lord your God, in the place which the Lord your God shall choose. You and your son and your daughter, and your manservant and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates. You shall rejoice in the Lord your God in all that you put your hands to. Take heed to yourself that you do not forsake the Levite, as long as you live upon the earth. And when the Lord your God shall make your border larger, as he has promised you, and you shall say, I will eat flesh, because your soul longs to eat flesh, you may eat flesh whatever your soul desires. If the place which the Lord your God has chosen to put his name there is too far from you, then you shall kill of your herd and of your flock which the Lord has given you, as I have commanded you, and ye shall eat in your gates whatever your soul desires. Even as the gazelle and the hart is eaten, so you shall eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Only be sure that you do not eat the blood, for the blood is the life, and you may not eat the life of the flesh. You shall not eat of it. You shall pour it upon the earth like water. You shall not eat it, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, when you shall do what is right in the sight of the Lord. Only your holy things which you have and your vows you shall take and go to the place which the Lord shall choose. And you shall offer your burnt offerings and flesh and blood upon the altar of the Lord your God. And the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of the Lord your God, and you shall eat the flesh. Be careful to hear all these words which I command you, so that it may go well with you and with your children after you forever, when you do that which is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God. When the Lord your God shall cut off the nations before you, when you go to possess them and you take their place and dwell in their land, take heed to yourself that you do not become snared by following them after they are destroyed from before you. And be careful that you do not ask about their gods, saying, How did these nations serve their gods, that I too may do likewise? You shall not do so unto the Lord your God, for every abomination to the Lord which he hates they have done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burned in the fire to their gods. Whatever thing I command you, be careful to do it. Ye shall not add to it, nor take away from it. Chapter 13. If a prophet rises among you, or a dreamer of dreams, and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder which he tells you comes to pass, of which he said, Let us go after other gods which you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God is testing you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and hold fast to him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to lure you out of the way which the Lord your God commanded you to walk in. So ye shall put the evil away from the midst of you. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend who is like your own soul, lures you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, you nor your fathers, that is, of the gods of the people who are round about you, near you or far off from you, from the one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth, ye shall not consent to hear him or listen to him. Neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you hide him. But you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones, so that he dies, because he has sought to lure you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this among you. If in one of your cities which the Lord your God has given you to dwell in, ye shall hear someone saying, Certain men, the children of Belial, have gone out from among you, and have withdrawn those who live in their cities, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known. Then ye shall inquire and make search, and ask carefully. And behold, if it is true, and the thing is certain, that such an abomination is done among you, ye shall surely strike those who live in the city with the edge of the sword, destroying it completely, and all that is in it, and all the cattle of it, with the edge of the sword. And ye shall gather all the spoil of it into the middle of the street, and shall burn the city with fire, and all its spoil, every bit of it, for the Lord your God. And it shall be a heap forever. It shall not be built again. And let nothing of the cursed thing cling to your hand, so that the Lord may turn from the heat of his anger, and show you mercy, and have pity upon you, and multiply you as he has sworn unto your fathers, when ye shall listen to the voice of the Lord your God, to keep all his commandments which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of the Lord your God. Deuteronomy chapter 14. You are the children of the Lord your God. You shall not cut yourself, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For you are a holy people unto the Lord your God, and the Lord has chosen you to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth. You shall not eat anything hateful to God. These are the animals which you shall eat, the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart, and the gazelle, and the fallow deer, and the wild goat, and the mountain goat, and the wild ox, and the mountain sheep, and every animal that divides the hoof, and divides it into two claws, and chews the cud among the animals, that you shall eat. Nevertheless, these you shall not eat: of those which chew the cud, or of that which divide the cloven hoof, the camel, the hare, and the coney. For they chew the cud, but do not divide the hoof. They are unclean unto you. And the swine, because it divides the hoof, but does not chew the cud, it is unclean unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead body. These you shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales you shall eat, and whatever does not have fins and scales ye shall not eat. It is unclean to you. You shall eat of all the clean birds, but you shall not eat of these, the eagle, and the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the falcon, and the kite, and the vulture after its kind, and every raven after its kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after its kind, and the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gier eagle, and the cormorant. Also the stork, and the heron after its kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. And every creeping thing that flies is unclean to you. They shall not be eaten. You may eat of all the clean fowls. You shall not eat of anything that dies of itself. You shall deliver it to the stranger that is in your gates, so that he may eat it, or you may sell it to a stranger. For you are a holy people unto the Lord your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. You shall truly tithe all the increase of your seed that the field brings forth year by year. And you shall eat before the Lord your God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of your grain, of your wine, and of your oil, and the firstborn of your herds and of your flocks, so that you may learn to fear the Lord your God always. And if the way is too long for you, so that you are not able to carry it, or if the place is too far from you, which the Lord your God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord your God has blessed you, then you shall turn it into money, and bind up the money in your hand, and ye shall go to the place which the Lord your God shall choose. And you shall pay that money for whatever your soul desires, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatever your soul desires. And you shall eat there before the Lord your God. And you shall rejoice, you and your household, and the Levite that is within your gates. You shall not forsake him, for he has no part nor inheritance with you. And at the end of 3 years ye shall bring forth all the tithe of your increase the same year, and shall lay it up inside your gates. And the Levite, because he has no part nor inheritance with you, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow, who are inside your gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, so that the Lord may bless you in all the work of your hands which you do. Chapter 15. Deuteronomy chapter 15. At the end of every 7 years ye shall make a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every man who has a loan to his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it from his neighbor or from his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. You may exact it from a foreigner, but your hand shall release that which is yours with your brother, except when there shall be no poor among you. For the Lord shall greatly bless you in the land which the Lord your God gives you, for an inheritance to possess it, only if you carefully listen to the voice of the Lord your God, to be careful to do all his commandments, which I command you this day. For the Lord your God blesses you, as he has promised you. And you shall lend to many nations, but ye shall not borrow. And you shall reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over you. If there is among you a poor man of one of your brothers inside any of your gates in your land which the Lord your God gives you, you shall not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your poor brother, but you shall open your hand wide unto him, and shall surely lend him enough for his need, that which he lacks. Beware that there is not a thought in your wicked heart, saying, The 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and your eye may be evil against your poor brother, and you give him nothing, and he may cry unto the Lord against you, and it is a sin to you. You shall surely give to him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give to him, because for this thing the Lord your God shall bless you in all your works, and in all that you put your hand to. For the Lord shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command you, saying, Ye shall open your hand wide to your brother, and to your poor, and to your needy in your land. If your brother, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, is sold to you and serves you 6 years, then in the 7th year ye shall let him go free from you. And when you send him out free from you, you shall not let him go away empty. You shall surround him with your flocks, and from your grain floor, and from your wine press. With that with which the Lord your God has blessed you, you shall give to him. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord God redeemed you. Therefore I command you this thing today. And if he says to you, I will not go away from you, because he loves you and your house, because he is happy with you, then you shall take an awl, and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be your servant forever. And also unto your maidservant you shall do likewise. It shall not seem hard to you when you send him away from you free, for he has been worth a double hired servant in serving you 6 years. And the Lord your God shall bless you in all that you do. And all the firstborn males that come from your herd and from your flock you shall set apart unto the Lord your God. You shall do no work with the firstborn of your bull, nor shear the firstborn of your sheep. Ye shall eat it before the Lord your God year by year, in the place which the Lord shall choose, you and your household. And if there is any blemish in it, if it is lame or blind, or any ill blemish, you shall not sacrifice it unto the Lord your God. You shall eat it inside your gates, as the gazelle and the hart. Only you shall not eat the blood of it. You shall pour it upon the ground like water. Deuteronomy chapter 16. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord your God. For in the month Abib the Lord your God brought you forth out of Egypt by night. You shall therefore sacrifice the Passover unto the Lord your God, of the flock and the herd in the place which the Lord shall choose to place his name there. You shall eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days ye shall eat unleavened bread with it, the bread of affliction. For you came forth out of the land of Egypt in haste. This is so that you may remember the day that you came forth out of the land of Egypt, all the days of your life. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with you in all your borders for 7 days. Neither shall any of the flesh which you sacrificed in the first day at evening remain all night until the morning. You may not sacrifice the Passover within any of your gates, which the Lord your God gives you, but at the place which the Lord your God shall choose to place his name. There ye shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the time that you came forth out of Egypt. And ye shall roast and eat it in the place which the Lord your God shall choose. And in the morning ye shall turn and go to your tents. 6 days ye shall eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to the Lord your God. Ye shall do no work. You shall count 7 weeks to yourselves, begin to count the 7 weeks from the time you began to put the sickle to the grain. And you shall keep the feast of weeks unto the Lord your God, with a measure of a freewill offering of your hand, which ye shall give according to the Lord your God, as he has blessed you. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you and your son and your daughter, and your manservant and your maidservant, and the Levite that is inside your gates, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow, those who are among you, in the place which the Lord your God has chosen to place his name there. And you shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and ye shall be careful to do these statutes. And you shall keep the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days after you have gathered in your grain and your wine. And ye shall rejoice in your feast, you and your son and your daughter, and your manservant and your maidservant, and the Levite, the stranger and the fatherless, and the widow that are inside your gates. 7 days ye shall keep a solemn feast unto the Lord your God, in the place which the Lord your God shall choose, because the Lord your God shall bless you in all your increase, and all the works of your hands. Therefore ye shall surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before the Lord your God, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before the Lord empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord your God, which he has given to you. You shall make judges and officers for you in all your gates, which the Lord your God gives you throughout your tribes. And ye shall judge the people with great judgment. Ye shall not wrest judgment, ye shall not respect persons, neither take a gift, for a gift blinds the eyes of the wise, and perverts the words of the righteous. You shall follow that which is altogether just, that you may live and inherit the land which the Lord your God gives you. You shall not plant a grove of any trees near the altar of the Lord your God which you shall make, neither shall you set up any image which the Lord your God hates. Chapter 17. Deuteronomy chapter 17. You shall not sacrifice unto the Lord your God any bull or sheep in which there is any blemish, or any unseemly thing, for that is an abomination to the Lord your God. If there is found among you inside any of your gates which the Lord your God gives you, a man or woman who has worked wickedness in the sight of the Lord your God, in breaking his covenant, and has gone and served other gods and worshipped them, either the sun or the moon, or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded, and if it is told you, and you have heard and inquired carefully, and behold, it is true, and the thing is certain, that such abomination is done in Israel, then ye shall bring forth that man or that woman who has committed that wicked thing to your gates, even that man or that woman, and ye shall stone them with stones until they die. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall be that is worthy of death, be put to death. At the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. The hands of the witnesses shall first be upon him to put him to death, and afterward the hands of all the people. So ye shall put the evil away from among you. If there arises a matter too hard for you in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, matters of controversy within your gates, then ye shall rise and go up to the place which the Lord your God shall choose. And ye shall come to the priests, the Levites, and to the judge that shall be in those days, and ask. And they shall show you the sentence of judgment, and ye shall do according to the sentence which the ones of that place which the Lord shall choose shall show you. And ye shall be careful to do to all that they tell you, according to the sentence of the law which they shall teach you, and according to the judgment which they shall tell you, you shall do. You shall not turn aside from the sentence which they shall show you, to the right hand or to the left. And the man that acts proudly and will not listen to the priest, who stands to minister there before the Lord your God, or to the judge, even that man shall die. And ye shall put away the evil from Israel, and all the people shall hear and fear and be presumptuous no more. And when you come to the land which the Lord your God shall give you, and shall possess it, and shall live in it, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like all the nations that are round me, you shall surely set a king over you, whom the Lord your God shall choose. You shall set a king over you from among your brothers. You may not set a stranger over you, who is not your brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt to the end that he should multiply horses, because the Lord has said unto you, Ye shall return no more that way from now on. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, so that his heart does not turn away. Neither shall he greatly multiply silver and gold to himself. And when he sits upon the throne of his kingdom, he shall write a copy of this law in a book, out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read it all the days of his life, so that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes to do them, so that his heart may not be lifted up against his brothers, and that he does not turn aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may make his days longer in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. This is Family Bible Reading Fellowship. We are reading together from the Book of Deuteronomy. We continue reading now the 18th chapter. The priests and the Levites, all the tribe of Levi, shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel, They shall eat the offerings of the Lord, made by fire, and his inheritance. Therefore they shall have no inheritance amongst their brothers. The Lord is their inheritance, as he has said to them. And this shall be the priest's due from the people, from those that offer a sacrifice, whether it is ox or sheep. And they shall give to the priest the shoulder, and the 2 cheeks, and the stomach. You shall also give him the first fruit of your grain, of your wine, and of your oil, and the first of the fleece of your sheep. For the Lord your God has chosen him out of all your tribes to stand to minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons forever. And if a Levite comes from any of your gates out of all of Israel, where he lived, and comes with all the desire of his mind unto the place which the Lord shall choose, then he shall minister in the name of the Lord his God, as all his brothers and Levites do, who stand there before the Lord. They shall have the same portions to eat, besides that which comes from the sale of the inheritance from his father. And when you come to the land which the Lord your God gives you, you shall not learn to do according to the abomination of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of clouds, or a fortune-teller, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or one who calls to the dead. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations the Lord your God drives them out from before you. Ye shall be perfect with the Lord your God, for these nations whom ye shall possess listened to observers of clouds and to diviners, but as for you the Lord your God has not allowed you to do so. The Lord your God will raise up unto you a prophet from the midst of you, of your brothers, one like me. Unto him you shall listen according to all that you desired of the Lord your God in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, Let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God, neither let me see this great fire any more, so that I do not die. And the Lord said to me, They have spoken well what they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brothers like you, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I command him. And whoever will not listen to my words which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet who shall presume to speak in my name which I have not commanded him to speak, or who shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, How shall we know the word which the Lord has not spoken? When the prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the thing does not follow, nor come to pass, this is the thing which the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously, and ye shall not be afraid of him. Chapter 19, Deuteronomy chapter 19. And when the Lord your God has cut off the nations whose land the Lord your God gives you, and when you take their place and live in their cities and in their houses, you shall separate 3 cities for you in the middle of your land, which the Lord your God gives you to possess it. Ye shall prepare you a way, and divide the borders of your land which the Lord your God gives you to inherit into 3 parts, so that every slayer may flee there. And this is the case of the slayer who shall flee there, that he may live. Whoever in error kills his neighbor whom he did not hate in times past. As when a man goes into the wood with his neighbor to cut wood, and his hand brings a stroke and the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the wood and lights upon his neighbor so that he dies, he shall flee to one of those cities and live, so that the avenger of the blood may not pursue the slayer while his heart is hot, and overtake him because the way is long, and kill him. But he was not worthy of death, for he did not hate him in times past. Therefore I command you, saying, You shall separate 3 cities for you. And if the Lord your God makes your border larger, as he has sworn unto your fathers, and gives you all the land which he promised to give unto your fathers, if you will keep his commandments, which I command you this day to do them, to love the Lord your God, and to walk in his ways, then you shall add 3 more cities, to these three, so that innocent blood may not be shed in your land, which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance, and blood may not be upon you. But if any man hates his neighbor, and lies in wait for him, and rises up against him, and strikes his life from him, so that he dies and flees to one of these cities, then the elders of his city shall send and bring him away from there, and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood, so that he may die. Your eye shall not pity him, but you shall put away the guilt of innocent blood from Israel, so that it may go well with you. You may not remove your neighbor's landmark, which those in the past have set in your inheritance, which you shall inherit in the land which the Lord your God gives you to possess it. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, in any sin that he sins. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be made sure. If a false witness rises up against any man to testify of falling away against him, then both the men who are disagreeing shall stand before the Lord, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days, and the judges shall make careful inquiry. And behold, if the witness is a false witness, and has testified falsely against his brother, then ye shall do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother. So ye shall put the evil away from among you. And those who remain shall hear and fear, and shall from then on commit no evil thing among you. And your eye shall not pity. Life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot. Deuteronomy chapter 20. When you go out to battle against your enemies and see horses and chariots, a people more than you, do not be afraid of them. For the Lord your God is with you, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And when you have come near to battle, the priest shall go up and speak to the people, and shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, today you go up to battle against your enemies. Do not let your hearts faint. Do not fear and do not tremble, neither be terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officers shall speak to the people, saying, What man is there that has built a new house, and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it. And what man is there that has planted a vineyard, and has not yet eaten of it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that has become engaged to a wife, and has not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further to the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return to his house, lest his brother's heart faint as well as his heart. And when the officers have made an end of the speaking to the people, they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When you come near a city to fight against it, then shout peace to it. And if it makes the answer of peace, and opens to you, then all the people that are found in it shall pay tax to you, and they shall serve you. But if it will make no peace with you, but will make war against you, then ye shall besiege it. And the Lord your God has delivered it into your hands. You shall strike every male of it with the edge of the sword. But the women and the little ones and the cattle, and all that is in the city, all the spoil of it, ye shall take to yourself, and ye shall eat the spoil of your enemies which the Lord your God has given you. So you shall do to all the cities which are very far off from you, which are not of the cities of these nations, but of the cities of these peoples, which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance. You shall save alive nothing that breathes, but you shall utterly destroy them. The Hittites and the Amorites and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that they may not teach you to do according to all their abominations which they have done to their gods, so you would sin against the Lord your God. And when ye shall besiege a city a long time, in making war against it to take it, ye shall not destroy the trees of it by forcing an axe against them. For you may eat of them, and ye shall not cut them down. For is the tree of the field a man, that it should be used in the siege? Only the trees which you know that they are not trees for food, ye shall destroy and cut them down. And ye shall build bulwarks against the city that makes war with you, until it is subdued. Chapter 21, Deuteronomy chapter 21. If one is found dead in the land which the Lord your God gives you to possess it, lying in the field, and it is not known who has killed him, then your elders and your judges shall come forth, and they shall measure to the cities which are around him who is dead. And the city which is nearest to the dead man, even the elders of that city shall take a heifer which has not been worked with, which is not drawn in the yoke. And the elders of that city shall bring down the heifer to a rough valley, which is neither plowed nor sown, and shall strike off the heifer's neck there in the valley. And the priest and the sons of Levi shall come near, for the Lord your God has chosen them to minister unto him, and to bless in the name of the Lord, and by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. And all the elders of that city which is next to the dead man shall wash their hands over the heifer that has been beheaded in the valley. And they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, neither have our eyes seen it. Be merciful, O Lord, unto thy people Israel, whom thou hast redeemed, and do not lay innocent blood to the charge of thy people. And the blood shall be forgiven them. So ye shall put away the guilt of innocent blood from among you, when you do what is right in the sight of the Lord. And when you go forth to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God has delivered them into your hands, and you have taken them captive, and see among the captives a beautiful woman, and have a desire unto her that you would have her for your wife, then you shall bring her home to your house. And she shall shave her head and dress her nails, and she shall put on the clothing of her captivity, and shall remain in your house, and shall sorrow for her father and for her mother a full month. And after that ye shall go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. And if you have no delight in her, then you shall let her go where she will, but you shall not sell her at all for money. Ye shall not make a slave of her, because you have humbled her. If a man has 2 wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son was of her that was hated, then when he makes his sons to inherit what he has, he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated one, who is truly the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated as the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he has. For he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. If a man has a son who is stubborn and rebels, who will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and when they have chastened him, he will not listen to them, then his father and his mother shall lay hold on him, and bring him out to the elders of his city, and to the gate of his place. And they shall say to the elders of his city, This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, so that he dies. So shall ye put evil away from you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. And if a man has committed a sin worthy of death, and if he is put to death, and you hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night on the tree, but ye shall surely bury it that day, for he that is hanged is accursed of God, so that your land may not be defiled, which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance. Chapter 22, Deuteronomy chapter 22. Ye shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep go astray, and hide yourself from them. Ye shall surely bring them again to your brother. And if your brother is not near you, or if you do not know him, then ye shall bring it unto your own house, and it shall be with you until your brother seeks after it, and ye shall give it back to him again. In the same way ye shall do with his ass, and so shall ye do with his clothing. And with any lost thing of your brother's, which he has lost and you have found, ye shall do the same. You may not hide yourself. Ye shall not see your brother's ass or his ox fall down by the way, and hide yourself from them. Ye shall surely help him to lift them up again. The woman shall not wear that which pertains to a man, neither shall a man put a woman's garments on, for all that do so are abominable to the Lord your God. If a bird's nest happens to be before you in the way, in any tree, or on the ground, whether young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, ye shall not take the dam with the young. Ye shall in every case let the dam go, and take the young for yourself, so that it may be well with you, and you may make your days longer. When you build a new house, then you shall make a guard rail for your roof, so that you do not bring blood upon your house, if any man falls from there. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 9. Ye shall not sow your vineyard with different kinds of seed, lest the fruit of your seed which you have sown, and the fruit of your vineyard be defiled. Ye shall not plow with an ox and an ass together. Ye shall not wear a garment of different kinds of wool and linen together. Ye shall make 3 tassels upon the 4 corners of your cloak, with which you cover. If any man takes a wife and goes in unto her, and hates her, and makes shameful charges against her, and brings up an evil name upon her, and says, I took this woman, and when I came to her I did not find her a maiden, then shall the father of the girl and her mother take and bring the tokens of the girl's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the girl's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hates her. And lo, he has made shameful charges against her, saying, I have not found your daughter a maiden. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and punish him. And they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, and give them to the father of the girl, because he has brought an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. But if this thing is true, and the tokens of virginity are not found for the girl, then they shall bring the girl out to the door of her father's house. And the men of her city shall stone her with stones, so that she dies, because she has done foolishness in Israel, to play the harlot in her father's house. So ye shall put evil away from among you. If a man is found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So ye shall put away evil from Israel. If a girl who is a virgin is engaged to a husband, and a man finds her in the city and lies with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The girl because she did not cry out in the city, and the man because he has humbled his neighbor's wife. So ye shall put away evil from among you. But if a man finds an engaged girl in the field, and the man forces her and lies with her, then only the man that lay with her shall die. But ye shall do nothing to the girl. There is no sin worthy of death in the girl. For as when a man rises against his neighbor and slays him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, the engaged girl cried out, but there was none to save her. If a man finds a girl that is virgin, who is not engaged, and lays hold on her, and lies with her, and they are found, then the man who lay with her shall give to the girl's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife. Because he has humbled her, he may not put her away all his days. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor uncover his father's skirt. Chapter 23, Deuteronomy chapter 23. He whose testicles are crushed, or who has his male member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation. He shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to their 10th generation. So they shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever. Because they did not meet you with bread and with water in the way, when you came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam the son of Beor, of Pethor, of Mesopotamia, to curse you. Nevertheless the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam, but the Lord your God turned the curse to a blessing unto you, because the Lord your God loved you. You shall not seek their peace nor their prosperity all your days forever. Ye shall not despise the Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not despise the Egyptian, because you were a stranger in his land. The children that are born to them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their 3rd generation. When the army goes forth against your enemies, then keep yourself from every wicked thing. If there is among you any man that is not clean because of uncleanness that chances upon him by night, then he shall go outside the camp. He shall not come inside the camp. But when evening comes on, he shall wash with water, and when the sun is down, he shall come into the camp. You shall also have a place outside the camp where you shall go forth, and ye shall have a paddle upon your weapon, and when you sit down outside, ye shall dig it to cover that which comes from you. For the Lord your God walks in the middle of your camp, to deliver you and to give you up to your enemies before you. Therefore your camp shall be holy, so that he may see no unclean thing in you, and turn away from you. You shall not deliver unto your master the servant who has escaped from his master unto you. He shall live with you among you, in that place which he shall choose in one of your gates, where it seems good to him. Ye shall not treat him cruelly. There shall be no harlot of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Ye shall not bring the hire of a harlot, nor the price of a dog, into the house of the Lord your God for any vow, for even both these are hateful unto the Lord your God. You shall not lend for interest to your brother, interest of money, interest of food, interest of anything that is loaned upon interest. You may lend upon interest to a stranger, but you shall not lend upon interest to your brother, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all that you set your hand to in the land where you go to possess it. When ye shall vow a vow unto the Lord your God, ye shall not wait to pay it, for the Lord your God will surely require it of you, and it would be a sin in you. But if ye shall cease to vow, it shall be no sin in you. That which has gone out of your lips you shall keep and perform, even a freewill offering, according as you have vowed unto the Lord your God, which you have promised with your mouth. When you come into your neighbor's vineyard, then you may eat grapes to your fill at your own pleasure, but ye shall not put any in your vessel. When you come into the standing grain of your neighbor, then you may pluck the heads with your hand, but ye shall not move a sickle in your neighbor's standing grain. Deuteronomy chapter 24. When a man has taken a wife and married her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her bill of divorce, and put it in her hand, and send her out of his house. And when she has departed from his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband hates her, and writes her a bill of divorcement, and puts it in her hand, and sends her out of his house, or if the latter husband dies, he who took her to be his wife, her former husband, who sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife after she is defiled. For that is hateful before the Lord, and ye shall not cause the land to sin, which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance. When a man has taken a new wife, he shall not go to war, neither shall he be charged with any business. He shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife whom he has taken. No man shall take the lower or upper millstone to pledge, for he takes a man's life to pledge. If a man is found stealing any of his brothers, the children of Israel, and makes a slave of him, or sells him, then that thief shall die, and ye shall put evil away from among you. Be careful in the plague of leprosy, that you watch carefully and do according to all that the priest, the Levites, shall teach you. As I commanded them, so ye shall be careful to do. Remember what the Lord your God did unto Miriam by the wayside, after you had come forth out of Egypt. When you loan anything to your brother, ye shall not go into his house to bring forth his pledge. Ye shall stand outside, and the man to whom you loan shall bring the pledge outside you. And if the man is poor, ye shall not sleep with his pledge. In any case ye shall deliver him the pledge again when the sun goes down, that he may sleep in his own clothing, and bless you, and it shall be righteousness unto you before the Lord your God. You shall not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy, of your brothers or of your strangers that are in your land within your gates. At his day you shall give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it. For he is poor, and sets his heart upon it, lest he cry against you unto the Lord, and it shall be a sin unto you. The father shall not put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. You shall not pervert the rightful judgment of the stranger or the fatherless, nor take a widow's clothing to pledge. But you shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. Therefore I command you to do this thing. When you cut down your harvest in your field, and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, you shall not go again to bring it. It shall be for the stranger, and for the fatherless, and for the widow, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the works of your hands. When you beat your olive tree, ye shall not go over the boughs again. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When you gather the grapes from your vineyard, ye shall not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, and for the fatherless, and for the widow. And ye shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command you to do this thing. Deuteronomy chapter 25. If there is a controversy between men, and they come to judgment, so that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. And if the wicked man is worthy to be beaten, it shall happen that the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face, according to his fault, by a certain number. He may give him 40 stripes and no more, lest if he should give more and beat him above these with many stripes, then your brothers shall seem vile unto you. You shall not muzzle the ox which treads out the grain. If brothers live together, and one of them dies and has no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry outside to a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her as a wife for himself, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And it shall be that the firstborn whom she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother who is dead, so that his name may not be put out of Israel. And if the man does not want to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate to the elders and say, My husband's brother refuses to raise up a name in Israel to his brother. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him. And if he stands and says, I do not like to take her, then his brother's wife shall come to him in the presence of his elders, and take off his shoe from his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, So shall it be done to that man who will not build up his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel the house of him who has his shoe taken off. When men strive together with one another, and the wife of one draws near to deliver her husband out of the hand of him who strikes him, and puts forth her hands, and takes him by the secret parts, then ye shall cut off her hand. Your eye shall not pity. You shall not have in your bag 2 kinds of weights, a great and a small. You shall not have in your house 2 kinds of measures, a great and a small. Ye shall have a perfect and just weight. a perfect and just measure ye shall have, so that your days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord your God gives you. For all that do such things, all that do unrighteousness, are hateful to the Lord your God. Remember what Amalek did to you by the way when you had come forth out of Egypt, how he met you by the way and struck those of you who were behind, all the feeble behind you, when you were faint and weary. And he did not fear God. Therefore, when the Lord your God has given you rest from all your enemies round about in the land which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance to possess it, you shall blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. You shall not forget. Deuteronomy chapter 26. This is Family Bible Reading Fellowship. A reading from the book of Deuteronomy. We continue reading now chapter 26. And it shall be, when you have come into the land which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance, and possess it, and live in it, you shall take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which ye shall bring of your land that the Lord your God gives you, and ye shall put it in a basket, and go to the place which the Lord your God shall choose to place his name there. And you shall go into the priest in those days, and say to him, I profess today unto the Lord your God that I have come to the country which the Lord swore unto our fathers to give us. And the priest shall take the basket out of your hand, and set it down before the altar of the Lord your God. And you shall speak and say before the Lord your God, My father was a Syrian, ready to perish. And he went down to Egypt, and stayed there with a few, and became there a nation, great and mighty and many. And the Egyptians ill-treated us, and afflicted us, and laid hard bondage upon us. And when we cried unto the Lord God our fathers, the Lord heard our voice, and looked upon our afflictions, and our labor, and our oppression. And the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with fearful might, and with miracles, and with wonders. And he has brought us into this place, and has given us this land, a land that flows with milk and honey. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land which thou, O Lord, hast given me. And you shall set it before the Lord your God, and worship before the Lord your God. And you shall rejoice in every good thing which the Lord your God has given to you, and to your house, you and the Levite, and the stranger that is among you. When you have made an end of tithing all the tithes of your increase the third year, the year of tithing, and have given it to the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat inside your gates and be filled, then ye shall say before the Lord your God, I have brought away the holy things out of my house, and also have given them unto the Levite, and to the stranger, and to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all thy commandments which thou hast commanded me. I have not broken thy commandments, neither have I forgotten. I have not eaten of it in my mourning, neither have I taken away any of it for unclean use, nor given any of it for the dead. I have listened to the voice of the Lord my God, and have done according to all that thou hast commanded me. Look down from thy holy dwelling place from heaven, and bless thy people Israel, and the land which thou hast given to us, as thou didst swear unto our fathers, a land that flows with milk and honey. This day the Lord your God has commanded you to do these statutes and judgments. You therefore shall keep and do them with all your heart and with all your soul. You have this day said that the Lord is your God, and that you would walk in his ways, and keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments, and listen to his voice. And the Lord has taken you this day to be his peculiar people, as he has promised you, and that you should keep all his commandments, and to make you high above all nations, which he has made in praise and in name and honor, and that you may be a holy people unto the Lord your God, even as he has spoken. Chapter 27, Deuteronomy chapter 27. And Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, Keep all the commandments which I command you this day. And on the day when you shall pass over Jordan to the land which the Lord your God gives you, you shall set up great stones, and plaster them with plaster. And ye shall write upon them all the words of the law which you have passed over, so that you may go into the land which the Lord your God gives you, a land that flows with milk and honey, as the Lord God of your fathers has promised you. Therefore, when you have gone over Jordan, you shall set up these stones which I command you this day in Mount Ebal, and you shall plaster them with plaster, and ye shall build an altar there unto the Lord your God, an altar of stones. You shall not lift up any iron tool upon them. You shall build the altar of the Lord your God of whole stones, and ye shall offer burnt offerings on it unto the Lord your God, and ye shall offer peace offerings, and shall eat there and rejoice before the Lord your God. And ye shall write all the words of this law very plainly upon the stones. And Moses and the priests and the Levites spoke unto all Israel, saying, Take heed and listen, O Israel. This day you have become the people of the Lord your God. You shall therefore obey the voice of the Lord your God, and do his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day. And Moses charged the people the same day, saying, These shall stand upon Mount Gerizim, to bless the people when you have come over Jordan, Simeon and Levi and Judah, and Issachar and Joseph and Benjamin. And these shall stand upon Mount Ebal to curse Reuben, Gad, and Asher, and Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. And the Levites shall speak and say unto all the men of Israel with a loud voice, Cursed is the man that makes any graven or molten image, an abomination unto the Lord, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and puts it in a secret place. And all the people shall answer and say, Amen. Cursed is he who thinks lightly of his father or his mother. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who removes his neighbor's landmark. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who makes the blind to wander out of the way. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who perverts the judgment of the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who lies with his father's wife, because he uncovers his father's skirt. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who lies with any kind of animal. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who lies with his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who lies with his mother-in-law, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who strikes his neighbor secretly, and all the people shall say, Amen. And cursed is he who takes reward to kill an innocent person. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he who does not confirm all the words of this law to do them. And all the people shall say, Amen. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And if you shall listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God, to observe and do all his commandments which I command you this day, the Lord your God will set you on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, if you will listen to the voice of the Lord your God. You shall be blessed in the city, and you shall be blessed in the field. And the fruit of your body shall be blessed, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the increase of your cows, and the flocks of your sheep. Your basket and your store shall be blessed. You shall be blessed when you come in, and you shall be blessed when you go out. And the Lord shall cause your enemies that rise up against you to be stricken before your face. They shall come out against you one way, and flee before you 7 ways. The Lord shall command the blessing upon you in your storehouses, and all that you set your hand to. And he shall bless you in the land which the Lord your God gives you. The Lord shall establish you a holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto you, if you shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and walk in his ways. And all the people of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. And the Lord shall make you to have plenty of goods in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land which the Lord swore unto your fathers to give you. The Lord shall open to you his good treasure, the heavens, to give you the rain unto your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. And you shall loan unto many nations, and you shall not borrow. And the Lord shall make you the head, and not the tail. And you shall be always above, and you shall not be beneath. If you listen to the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day, to observe and to do them. And ye shall not go aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods, to serve them. But if you will not listen to the voice of the Lord your God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command you this day, all these curses shall come upon you, and overtake you, and ye shall be cursed in the city, and ye shall be cursed in the field. Your basket and your store shall be cursed. And the fruit of your body shall be cursed, and the fruit of your land, the increase of your cows, and the flocks of your sheep. You shall be cursed when you come in, and you shall be cursed when you go out. The Lord shall send upon you cursings and vexation and rebuke in all that you set your hand to do, until you are destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your doings by which you have forsaken me. The Lord shall make the plague to cling to you until he has consumed you from off the land where you go to possess it. The Lord shall strike you with lung disease, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with a sword, and with blasting, and with mildew. And they shall pursue you until you perish. And your heaven which is over your head shall be brass, and the earth that is under you shall be iron. And the Lord shall make the rain of your land powder and dust. It shall come down from heaven upon you until you are destroyed. The Lord shall cause you to be stricken before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them. And you shall be moved into all the kingdoms of the earth, and your body shall be food to all birds of the air, and to the beasts of the earth. And no man shall frighten them away. And the Lord will strike you with the boils of Egypt, and with hemorrhoids, and with the scab, and with the itch of which you cannot be healed. And the Lord will strike you with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And ye shall grope at noonday, as the blind gropes in darkness. And ye shall not prosper in your ways, and ye shall always be pressed down and spoiled forever. And no man shall save you. Ye shall become engaged to a wife, and another man shall lie with her. You shall build a house, and ye shall not live in it. Ye shall plant a vineyard, and ye shall not gather the grapes of it. Your ox shall be slain before your eyes, and ye shall not eat of it. Your ass shall be violently taken away before your face, and shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, and you shall have none to rescue them. And your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. And there shall be no power in your hand, and the fruit of your land and all your labors shall be eaten up by a nation which you do not know. And you shall always be oppressed and crushed, so that you shall be mad because of that which you shall see with the sight of your eyes. The Lord shall strike you in the knees and in the legs with a sore boil that cannot be healed, from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. The Lord shall bring you and your king which you shall set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone, and ye shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord shall lead you. You shall carry much seed out into the field, and gather little from it, for the locust shall eat it. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout all your coast, but you shall not anoint yourself with oil, for your olive shall drop off its fruit. You shall give birth to sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All your trees and the fruits of your land the locust shall possess, and the stranger that is within you shall get up above you very high, and ye shall come down very low. He shall loan to you, and ye shall not loan to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you, and overtake you, until you are destroyed, because you did not listen to the voice of the Lord your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever, because you did not serve the Lord your God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all the things that he gave you. Therefore ye shall serve your enemies, which the Lord shall send against you, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness, and in the lack of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck, until he has destroyed you. The Lord shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue ye shall not understand, a nation fierce of face, who shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle, and the fruit of your land, until you are destroyed. Who shall not leave you grain, or wine, or oil, the increase of your cows, or the flocks of your sheep, until he has destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fenced walls in which you trusted come down throughout all the land. And he shall besiege you in all your gates throughout all the land which the Lord your God has given you, and ye shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and of your daughters, which the Lord your God has given you, in the siege and in the difficulty with which your enemies shall distress you. The man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the rest of his children whom he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he has nothing left to him in the siege, and in the difficulty with which your enemies shall distress you in all your gates. And the tender and the delicate woman among you, who would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son and toward her daughter, and toward her young ones who come out from between her feet, and toward her children whom she shall bear. For she shall eat them secretly for lack of all things, in the siege and straitness with which your enemies shall distress you within your gates. If you will not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will make your plagues remarkable, and the plagues of your children shall be great plagues, and they shall go on a long time with sore and long-lasting sicknesses. Moreover, he will bring upon you all the diseases of Egypt which you were afraid of, and they shall cling to you, also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law. These the Lord will bring them upon you until you are destroyed, and ye shall be left few in number, or as you were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. And as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you, and to bring you to nothing. And ye shall be plucked from off the land where you go to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter you among all the people, from the one end of the earth even to the other. And ye shall serve other gods there, which neither you nor your father have known, wood and stone. And among these nations ye shall find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. But the Lord shall give you there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and a sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of your life. In the morning you should say, Would God it were evening, and at evening you will say, Would to God that it were morning. For the fear of your heart with which you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see, the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way of which I said to you, Ye shall see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold to your enemies, for men's slaves and women's slaves, and no man shall buy you. Chapter 29, Deuteronomy chapter 29. Now these are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. And Moses called to all Israel and said to them, You have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt, unto Pharaoh, and unto all his servants, to all his land. Your eyes have seen the great temptations and the signs and those great miracles, yet the Lord has not given you a heart to perceive, and eyes to see, and ears to hear, until this day. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not become old upon you, and your shoe has not become old upon your foot. You have not eaten bread, neither have you drunk wine or strong drink, so that you might know that I am the Lord your God. And when you came to this place, Sihon the king of Heshbon, and Og the king of Bashan came out against us to battle, and we struck them. And we took their land, and gave it for an inheritance to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh. Therefore keep the words of this covenant, and do them, so that you may prosper in all that you do. You stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your God, your captains of your tribes, your elders and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and your stranger that is in your camp, from the cutter of your wood to the drawer of your water, so that you should enter into covenant with the Lord your God, and into his oath which the Lord your God makes you this day, so that he may establish you today for a people unto himself, and that he may be a God unto you, as he has said to you, and as he has sworn unto your fathers, to Abraham, and to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither do I make this covenant and this oath with you only, but with him who stands here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day. For you know how we have lived in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which you passed by. And you have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. Lest there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe, whose heart turns away this day from the Lord our God, to go and serve the gods of these nations, lest there should be among you this day a root that bears gall and wormwood. And lest it come to pass, when he hears the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of my heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. The Lord will not spare him, but then the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Lord shall blot out his name from under heaven. And the Lord shall set him apart to evil out of all of the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law, so that the generation to come of your children that rise up after you, and the strangers that shall come from a far land, they shall say, when they see the plagues of that land and the sickness which the Lord has laid upon it, that the whole land of it is brimstone and salt and burning, that it is not sown, nor bears, nor has any grass growing in it, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in his anger and his wrath. Even then all the nations shall say, Why has the Lord done this to this land? What does the heat of this great anger mean? Then men shall say, Because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. For they went and served other gods, and worshipped them, gods whom they did not know, and who had not given to them any portion. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against this land, to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book. And the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath, and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, so that we may do all the words of this law. Deuteronomy chapter 30. When all these things have come upon you, the blessings and the curse which I have set before you, and when you shall call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, and shall return to the Lord your God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you and your children with all your heart and with all your soul, then the Lord your God will turn your captivity, and he will have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations where the Lord your God has scattered you. If any of you is driven out into the outermost parts of heaven, the Lord your God will gather you from there, and he will bring you from there. And the Lord your God will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and ye shall possess it, and he will do good and multiply you above your fathers. And the Lord your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, so that you may live. And the Lord your God will put all these curses upon your enemies, and upon those that hate you, who persecuted you. And you shall return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments which I command you this day. And the Lord your God will make you have plenty in every work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your land, for good. For the Lord will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers, if you shall listen to the voice of the Lord your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which are written in this book of the law, and if you turn unto the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. For this commandment which I command you this day is not hidden from you, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that you should say, Who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it to us, so that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, so that you should say, Who shall go over the sea for us and bring it to us, so that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very near you, in your mouth and in your heart, so that you may do it. See, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil. In that I command you this day to love the Lord your God, and to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, so that you may live and multiply. And the Lord your God shall bless you in the land where you go to possess it. But if your heart turns away, so that you will not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I announce to you this day that you shall surely perish, and ye shall not prolong your days upon the land where you pass over Jordan to go to possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life, so that both you and your seed may live, so that you may love the Lord your God, and that you may obey his voice, and that you may cling to him, for he is your life and the length of your days, so that you may dwell in the land which the Lord swore unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Chapter 31. And Moses went and spoke these words to all of Israel, I am 120 years old this day. I can no more go out and come in. Also the Lord has said unto me, You shall not go over this Jordan. The Lord your God will go over before you. He will destroy these nations from before you, and you shall possess them. And Joshua shall go over before you as the Lord has said. And the Lord shall do unto them as he did to Sihon and to Og, kings of the Amorites, and to the land of those whom he destroyed. And the Lord shall give them up before your face, so that you may do unto them according to the commandments which I have commanded you. Be strong and of a good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them, for the Lord your God is he who goes with you. He will not fail you, nor forsake you. And Moses called to Joshua and said to him in the sight of all of Israel, Be strong and of good courage, for you must go with this people to the land which the Lord has sworn unto their fathers to give them, and you shall cause them to inherit it. And the Lord is he who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not fail you nor forsake you. Do not fear, nor be dismayed. And Moses wrote this law and delivered it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all the elders of Israel. And Moses commanded them, saying, at the end of 7 years, at the time set of the year of release, in the Feast of Tabernacles, when all Israel has come to appear before the Lord your God, in the place which he shall choose, you shall read this law before all of Israel in your hearing. Gather the people together, men and women and children, and your stranger who is within your gates, so that you may hear and that you may learn and fear the Lord your God. And be careful to do all the words of this law, and that your children who have not known may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, as long as you live in the land where you go over Jordan to possess it. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, your days are coming near when you must die. Call Joshua and present yourselves in the tabernacle of the congregation, so that you may give him charge. And Moses and Joshua went, and they presented themselves in the tabernacle of the congregation. And the Lord appeared in the tabernacle in a pillar of a cloud, and the cloud stood over the door of the tabernacle. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, you shall sleep with your fathers, and this people shall rise up and go lusting after gods, the gods of the strangers of the land into which they are going to be among them. And they will forsake me and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them. And I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, Have not these evils come upon us, because our God is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day for all the evils which they have done, in that they have turned unto other gods. Now therefore write this song for you, and teach it to the children of Israel. Put it in their mouths, so that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel. For when I shall have brought them into the land which I swore unto their fathers, the land that flows with milk and honey, and they shall have eaten and filled themselves and become fat, then they will turn to other gods and serve them, and provoke me, and break my covenant. And when many evils and troubles have befallen them, this song shall testify against them as a witness. For it shall not be forgotten out of the mouths of their seed. For I know their imagination, which they do, even now, before I have brought them into the land which I swore. Moses therefore wrote this song the same day, and taught it to the children of Israel. And he gave Joshua the son of Nun a charge, and said, Be strong and of a good courage. For you shall bring the children of Israel into the land which I swore unto them, and I will be with you. And Moses had made an end of the writing of the words of this law in a book. Until they were finished, Moses commanded the Levites who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, saying, Take this book of the law, and put it in the side of the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, so that it may be there for a witness against you. For I know your rebellion and your stiff neck. Behold, while I am still alive with you this day, you have been rebellious against the Lord, and how much more after my death? Gather unto me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, so that I may speak these words in their ears, and call heaven and earth to record against them. For I know that after my death you will become utterly corrupt, and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you. And evil will befall you in the latter days, because you will do evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. And Moses spoke in the ears of all the congregation of Israel the words of this song until they were ended. Chapter 32, Deuteronomy chapter 32. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall drop down as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender plant, and as the showers upon the grass, because I will proclaim the name of the Lord. Praise God for his greatness. He is the rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment. A God of truth and without iniquity, just and right is he. They have corrupted themselves, they are not his children, that is their blot. They are perverse and a crooked generation. Do you repay the Lord in this way, O foolish and unwise people? Is not he your father who has bought you? Has he not made you and established you? Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is in his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land, and in the deserted howling wilderness. He led him about, he instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirs up her nest, and flutters over her young, and spreads abroad her wings, and takes them and bears them on her wings. So the Lord alone led him, and there was no strange God with him. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, so that he might eat the increase of the fields. And he made him suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock, butter from cows and milk from sheep, with fat of lambs and the rams of the breed of Bashan, and the goats with the fat of the kidneys of wheat. And you drank the pure blood of the grape. But Jeshurun became fat and kicked, and you have become fat, and you have grown thick, and you are covered with fat. Then he forsook God who made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to devils, not to gods whom they knew not, to new gods newly come up, whom their fathers did not fear. You are not mindful of the rock who brought you forth, and have forgotten God who formed you. And when the Lord saw it, he despised them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very perverse generation, children in whom there is no faith. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those who are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn to the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with its increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap mischief upon them. I will spend my arrows upon them. They shall be burned with hunger, and devoured with burning coals, and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword outside and the terror inside shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the babe also with the man of gray hairs. I said I would scatter them into the corners. I would make the memory of them to cease from among men, were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their enemies should behave themselves strangely, lest they should say, Our hand is high, and the Lord has not done all this. For they are a generation without wisdom, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. How shall one chase 1,000 and put to flight 10,000, unless their rock had sold them, and the Lord had shut them up? For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is the vine of Sodom, and of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of serpents, and cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me, and sealed up among my treasures? Vengeance belongs to me, and I will repay. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand. And the things that shall come upon them will make haste. For the Lord shall judge his people, and turn himself around for his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, and there is none shut up nor left. And he shall say, Where are their gods, their rock in whom they trusted? Who ate the fat of their sacrifices, and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you, and be your guard. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. If I sharpen my glittering sword, and if my hand takes hold in judgment, I will give vengeance to my enemies, and will reward those that hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the hairy scalp of the enemy. Rejoice, O nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his foes, and will be merciful to his land and to his people. And Moses came and spoke all the words of this song in the ears of the people, he and Joshua the son of Nun. And Moses made an end of speaking all these words to all of Israel, and he said to them, Set your hearts unto the words which I testify among you this day, which you shall command your children to observe and to do, all the words of this law. For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. And through this thing you shall make your days longer in the land where you go over Jordan to possess it. And the Lord spoke to Moses that same day, saying, Get up into this mountain Abarim, unto Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho, and behold the land of Canaan, which I give to the children of Israel for a possession. And die in the mountain where you go up, and be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother died in Mount Hor, and was gathered to his people. Because you sinned against me amongst the children of Israel, at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because you did not sanctify me in the midst of the children of Israel, yet you shall see the land before you, but you shall not go there unto the land which I give to the children of Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 33. And this is the blessing with which Moses the man of God blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, The Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shone forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them. Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand, and they sat down at thy feet. Every one shall receive of thy words. Moses commanded us a law, the inheritance of the congregation, and he was king in Jeshurun, when the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou a help to him from his enemies. And of Levi he said, Let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou didst prove at Massah, with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah, who said to his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he know his brothers, nor knew his own children, for they have observed thy word, and kept thy covenant. Let them teach Jacob thy judgments, and Israel thy law. Let them put incense before thee, and whole burnt sacrifice upon thy altar. O Lord, bless what is his, and accept the works of his hands. Strike through the loins of those who rise against him, and of those who hate him, that they should not rise again. Of Benjamin he said, The beloved of the Lord shall live in safety beside him, and shall cover him all the day long, and he shall live between his shoulders. And of Joseph he said, Blessed of the Lord is his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew and for the deep that crouches beneath, and for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth, and the fullness of it, and for the good will of him who lived in the bush. Let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the top of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. His glory is like the firstborn of his bull, and his horns are like the horns of an ox. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are tens of thousands of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in your going out, and Issachar in your tents. They shall call the people to the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck of the bounty of the seas, and of treasures hid in the sand. And of Gad he said, Blessed is he who makes Gad greater. He lives as a lion, and tears the arm with the crown of the head. And he provided the first part for himself, because there is a portion of the lawgiver, and he shall be seated. And he came with the heads of the people, and he executed the justice of the Lord, and his judgments with Israel. And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan. And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor and full with the blessing of the Lord, possess the west and the south. And of Ashur he said, Let Ashur be blessed with children. Let him be pleasing to his brothers, and let him dip his foot in oil. Your shoes shall be iron and brass, and as your days, so shall your strength be. There is none like the God of Jeshurun, who rides upon the heavens to your help, and in his majesty upon the skies. The eternal God is your refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he shall throw the enemy out from before you, and shall say, Destroy them. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon the land of grain and wine, and also his sky shall drop down dew. Happy are you, O Israel, who is like you, O people saved by the Lord, the shield of your help, and who is the sword of your excellency. And your enemies shall be found liars unto you, and ye shall tread upon their high places.
Deuteronomy 34. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo, to the top of the Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, unto the utmost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, unto Zoar. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Bethpeor. But no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. And Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands upon him, and the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as the Lord commanded Moses. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. In all the signs and wonders which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land, and in all that mighty hand, in all the great terror which Moses showed in the sight of all Israel.